Hello friends, Martianus of Mustache here, and it's Rockman time. Yeah, there's no intro, so I can't explain much this time, but I'm not going to go into the story and everything like I've been doing in my other ones, because I'm actually going to start pairing these videos with my play diaries that I am doing on my website. So I'll talk about the story and everything there. So I can just talk about the actual playing that I did to do this run. I know I'm getting this audio out like over a week late, I guess. I don't remember when I posted the run exactly. It's been about a week, I think. But maybe a little more, I don't remember. But a couple of reasons. Again, the health thing. My health is always bad, but the main reason was actually that... actually, there's two main reasons. One is that I needed to finish playing Final Fantasy V for the 4-job Fiesta. I still had kind of a lot of playing left to do, and you know, the runs are supposed to be done by the end of August, and so I was cutting it pretty close, so I was spending a lot of time playing that. And then I also got hyperfixated on a new interest, which was annoying and fun at the same time. Yeah, getting new interests is very interesting for me. Anyway, this is the worst stage in the game by far. I have not talked a lot about it. I think if you're familiar with this game, you certainly know. This is the worst part as well here. These things that you ride on... Actually, I took notes on the names of everything, and I don't know where my notes are. But they glitch up, and sometimes when you jump on them, you just take damage and fall through them. So it took me more than 200 attempts to clear this stage. And I have like a little fail video. They're called footholders. And yeah, I didn't talk too much about this stage. I made a lot of stupid mistakes in the beginning. I don't practice these before I do them. So this was kind of me getting back into the rhythm of playing Mega Man 1 in the first place. And then, you know, kind of coming up with a route and everything. I did play it a little bit before this, like a month or so before trying to record the run. I just played through once to determine a new stage order. I kind of played around with the stages a bit. And then this also is a terrible fight. The precision that you need to jump through those little things. It is like split-second precision that you need to jump between the ice slashers, and the game slows down and speeds up because of all the sprites on the screen. So the timing of your jump is different depending on how much slowdown the game is experiencing at the moment. So it's really frustrating. So I ended up doing this Elec Man Stage. I did it in two takes, or two segments. I actually recorded the fight separately because I was so sick of having to restart and then die on the footholders like 40 times in a row, and you know, accidentally bump the penguins. I think their names are Pepe. Yeah, Pepe. Do we get some Palm Man? The reason I did Elec Man first is because when I was playing again, like a month ago or whatever, I found that the Ice Slasher was really fun to use in this stage, and I never used the Ice Slasher very much at all before. I think before, when I used to play this game, I pretty much just used it on that Wily Stage with the big eyes in the beginning, but I use it a lot here, and I found that the Ice Slasher is actually pretty cool. And this room, if you pause right at the top of the ladder, you can get through it if you just keep moving, which is something it took me a while to figure out. I also tried to do these runs kind of figuring out, see, you freeze the Sniper Joe and you can just jump right over him. It's so cool. But I also tried to do these runs without really looking up any kind of help or anything, you know, kind of figuring out the game again on my own. I mean, I have seen tons of speedruns and other people's runs and stuff through this game, so I have learned a lot over time through them, but I don't go specifically research for the sake of doing these runs, if that makes sense, because I just kind of like doing stuff on my own and kind of refiguring out all the patterns and discovering strategies and stuff on my own, even though just because I've seen so much over time, there's you know, a lot that I've picked up from other players too, of course, like Rome Mithril. A lot of things I use in this run are actually things I learned from Rome Mithril. But also when you freeze that bomb killer or whatever, killer bomb, they'll only pop out from the side of the screen as long as you're in their like pop out zone. And so if you freeze that first one before you come up to them, it like no more will pop out. Or wait, maybe I'm talking about the Mambu. I used to call those hamburgers. I still call them hamburgers. They're called Mambu, but you probably don't know what I'm talking about because my comments are so far behind what's actually going on the screen. But yeah, the little Mambus. I think they're called Telly in the English manual or something. But my friend and I call them hamburgers. And so I just kind of got accustomed to calling them hamburgers. But see, did you see me use Eye Slasher there? Yay! This game is so short and so fast that it's going to be kind of hard to keep up on it. Oh, I even took notes about their little stories and stuff. There's not too much story here, though, to this game. And Elec Man Stage. There are so many different strategies you can use to get through this stage. Yeah, I don't know. I just do the like regular way of getting through this, I guess. It's really fun to do with a Magna Beam, and kind of doing some like jumping on it and jumping off to get through it really fast, like this speedrun tactic. I think I do it in one of my challenge videos, the like Mega Man Legacy Collection Remix Challenge things, I think. But another reason I want to come here is to use a Hyper Bomb, because nobody likes Hyper Bomb and nobody uses Hyper Bomb, but it's pretty cool to use here. You can actually stand at certain points and throw it, and then if you start walking forward at the right time, it will blow up right as the Picklemen start throwing their axes. I walk a little early each time, so I have to kind of like inch toward them, but it's a really, really safe way to get past them. Not that they're particularly hard or anything, but for a lot of the enemies in this game, they are, I guess, one of the harder ones. Then here's a cool thing about the Eye Slasher that makes it cooler than Spark Shot, is that you can switch back to your other weapons while things are frozen, and then you can fight them. So earlier, I froze the Pickleman and then threw the bomb at him, and then there I froze the Big Eye and then just shot him with the Buster until he's dead. So I think that's pretty cool. My fight with Elec Man is horrible. I'm just warning you now. It's really clumsy. I am really bad at timing the jump here. He'll jump up, land up, that was really bad. He'll jump up and land on the ground, and then when he hits the ground, it makes like a little quake. And if you're touching the ground at any moment during the quake, you'll like fall down and do that little bouncy thing on your butt. And the problem with that is that it doesn't matter when the quake begins or ends. Your little falling thing will take the same amount of time either way. So if you jump and try to avoid the quake, but then land at the very end of the quake, you'll still shake for the same amount of time past the end of the quake, whether just as if you had been standing at the very beginning, if that makes sense. And if that happens, he'll always hit you with the thing that he throws, if he happens to throw one right after that. And you can tell he's going to throw one because he'll jump straight up. So it's actually, if he's far enough away, it's better to just let him shake you, and you'll recover before the block thing gets to you, so you can jump over it. I don't think I explained that very well at all, but I'm really bad at timing it. Like, you have to be pretty specific, or pretty precise with your jump timing there. And here's some more Hyper Bomb use. I really like doing this one here, blowing up the two things at once. Anytime you can use the Hyper Bomb in a way that feels good, it's very, very satisfying. But yeah, I'm really bad at the Elec Man jump timing. It's pretty precise, and I'm not that precise. And plus I'm trying to pay attention to too many other things at the same time. I hate these things. I closed my notes already. I have them in like a little notebook. Watcher, yeah, they're called Watchers. They're really annoying. They're not that hard to deal with in most of the places where they appear. And it doesn't matter what special weapons you use. It doesn't really help you that much. Like, they're about the same difficulty even if you're using your other weapons. I mean, stuff like the Firestorm and Thunder Beam are a little better at hitting them just because they're bigger, so you have a little bit better accuracy, but that's about it. Here's the first place where they're really annoying. It took me a while to really devise a plan to get through this full failsafe. It's not that hard once you know how to do it, though. They always come out in the exact same pattern, and they always react to your position the exact same way, so they're predictable, and you can manipulate them, but yeah, that's it. I don't remember what I do here. Oh, yeah! I just go right through them. I was impressed with myself for doing that. I was so excited that I got the timing down. And yeah, you'll see me mess up ladders a lot. I'm using a DualShock 3 to play the game, and I think like right here, yeah. That's just me pressing it a little too early, because I think if you press up, it like thinks you're still climbing the ladder below and then sets you on top of it or something. I don't know why it does that, but you have to move far enough left to actually keep climbing up that ladder. But yeah, and in my Mega Man 2 videos, you can see this as well, that I will climb ladders when I'm not meaning to. Because when you're pressing left or right, you're going to inevitably be pressing up or down on accident. It's really hard to press just left or right without inputting up or down in any form. So I do a lot of accidental ladder climbing. That was sad. Messing up that jump right there. And Magnet Beam. Oh, we got Magnet Beam. I didn't even get to comment on it. Wait, what did we find? Oh, Guts, man. I was like, we haven't used the other thing. The only thing you can use it for is getting the Magnet Beam. And another reason I wanted to do this stage order is because I want to actually try to use all of the weapons. And the super arm that you get from Gutsman is almost useless. And so you can use it a little bit in Cutman's stage and stuff, so that's why I chose this pretty unorthodox stage order, I guess. I'm drinking tea while I record this shirt. It's really warm in here. I turn off my fan and everything to record, so somebody on GameFAQs actually told me about this strategy, and people call it revenge strategy. They call these like things revenge strategy in Mega Man. I don't know why it's called revenge strategy. I don't know what's different between just a regular strategy to fight them and revenge strategy. I just hear that term a lot, but I don't really know why it's used. And yeah, basically as soon as he puts his hands up, you have to shoot and jump, and that's it. It's pretty simple. Once you learn the timing of it, it's not hard at all. Getting into the position in the beginning was the hardest thing for me to learn how to do. It's really similar to how you fight firemen. And now I have the Thunder Beam, which is super overpowered. I've actually come to appreciate the weapons arsenal in this game even more than I did before. I always thought it was okay. It actually, when I very first played this game, I thought it was terrible. You know, after a little bit more playing, I was like, oh, you know, this is not so bad. Some of these weapons are really cool. And I thought it was more of a case of having, you know, a couple really overpowered weapons and then a bunch of useless weapons. But all the weapons that I thought were useless are actually pretty fun. And Hyper Bomb is more novelty useful. But for example, the Ice Slasher is very useful. And pretty versatile, really. You can use it in a lot of different situations, and pretty creatively, so I really like that. And Thunder Beam is one of the really overpowered ones, though. It's kind of annoying when you have enemies close to the ground and it goes over them, like the Gabules and those things that shoot out the little things. I think they're called like screw attackers or something. Screw attackers sounds wrong. It sounds like from something else, but yeah, I don't know. This part is really ridiculous. I actually was playing a Complete Works version of the game today, and I actually got through it without getting hit, which I think is the first time I've ever done that in my life. My brother seems to be able to do it just fine, which is weird, because he tends to not be as good as that kind of precision stuff. But he can get through that like really easily, and I can never get through it when you have to walk through them. So that's why I made sure to get the Magnet Beam before coming here. Normally, if I'm just playing for fun, or the stage order I would normally use like before, I always started a Fireman stage to get the fire. What's it called? Fire blast. The fire shooter thing. Firestorm. Oh, I have it right here in my notes. Firestorm. Oh, I have all the things written down. Thunder Beam, Super Arm, Ice Slasher, Hyper Bomb, Rolling Cutter. Okay, yeah, this is pretty easy to do. You have to wait for him to start shooting. If you shoot when he's not shooting, or yeah, pretty much if he's not preparing his, like, if he's not in a certain point of shooting, when you shoot, he'll shoot again and it'll screw up the whole thing. Because that little flame on the ground will stay there too long and you'll jump and fall on it or something. To make sure you just shoot once, jump, and pretty much shoot as soon as he shoots and then jump over the thing. And once you get the rhythm down, it's really easy to do. Elec Man Stage, now we get to finally use Super Arm. And I don't use it for much because it's really easier to do this without it. But we actually have blocks here, so I may as well use it. So I'm gonna jump up here and throw it at that. I think that's all I do with it. This was pretty fun. I started using the Ice Slasher here. You can get through this without it, but I would get hit on this top one sometimes, so I just froze it. Just to lessen my chance of being hit. Here you can, if you just walk through and don't jump on the ladder, just walk to it and then climb straight up from the bottom and just keep moving, you'll get through that screen without getting hit. Then the second screen you can do what I just did and then get through without getting hit. That one you do have to jump on the ladder. Oh, those little like grasshopper things. Oh, what are they called? I don't know. They were in another stage and I had them in my notes from that stage and I didn't write them for each stage. Oh, they're called Kamadomer. But yeah, I really hate those. They can either jump short or long. And once you realize they only have two jump strengths, two jump types, they're not as bad. But they usually come in groups. And generally you're just kind of running through and then you'll like spawn like 2 or 3 of them on the screen at once. And you get overwhelmed pretty quickly. Hey, there's gonna be more hamburgers up here. And yeah, I like doing these rooms for some reason. Some of my favorite parts of the game to do. As long as you move quickly as you can, you won't get hit and just run through the areas. This was a really annoying part. You can use the Thunder Beam to knock those blocks, the same ones you can throw with the Super Arm. But the way the Big Eye takes damage, it's so unpredictable. Like sometimes they would kill it, and sometimes they wouldn't, and then sometimes it would hop onto that one block that was left, and then it would jump over me, and then I could shoot the block out from under it while it was jumping, and then run under it, and that was pretty cool. But then sometimes it would just get stuck doing the short hops, like right in front of the block, and I think you can manipulate their height by what Mega Man's height is while it's in a certain position, but I didn't bother with that. I did this before I really relearned Elec Man's moving patterns, so I ended up actually getting hit here a few times and having to retake this, but Elec Man is really easy to predict. You can completely control how he moves. Well, you can't completely control it, but you can control him so it's completely predictable. But that's pretty much how I beat him every time. I just didn't realize what I was doing during the recording this time. I just got lucky, I guess. But by the time I got to the rematch with him, I understood his pattern better. I've really said nothing this whole time. I feel like I've said nothing of any substance whatsoever. This is the worst commentary I've ever made. Ice Slasher. This is where I would normally use the Ice Slasher. The only time I would ever use it in the game. And I would also usually go to Elec Man Stage last, so I didn't really have much opportunity to use it otherwise. But this is pretty cool with this part. And go right under him. I got really lucky with that. And yeah, I accidentally shoot that one out from under my feet. And then here I realized if you stay back there, and then as soon as you shoot the Ice Slasher, start running forward, it'll always hit those two in that way, if you timed your shot right for the first one. And so that was pretty cool once I learned that, because that's a really obnoxious part to try to get through without taking damage. And then here, these Comodomers can jump like long, and if they happen, like if the one on the left happens to jump long, it will fall onto the ladder and you can't avoid the damage. So there were runs where I kept like going back down the ladder and coming back up, waiting for it to jump short. There were times I had to do that like 5 or 6 times, so I'm really happy it worked on the first time this time, that they all just jumped short, and so it was easy to get through that without having to do a bunch of waiting. Because the footholders are like completely random in the way they move, that section of the stage can take forever and be really obnoxious. So I got pretty lucky with the patterns there too, and so it was pretty lucky to have the patterns line up for both the footholders and the Comodomers in the same run. This is really easy. There's this part that I do the 2 short hops. Like, I'll try to explain. Like right here, I jump over those 2 at once. When I used to play this, I didn't realize you could jump over both, and I thought you had to jump over each individually, and I think I do it here. Doop, doop, like that, yeah. The 2 short hops, and you have to do short hops or else you'll get hit. I thought that was the only way to get through them, so the first time I ever learned this pattern and memorized it, I did the little short hops every time. It's a lot harder than just jumping over them, and like jumping over both at once. And yeah, doing this with just the Buster just makes it take longer, so I use the Thunder Beam here. There's really not a lot to say about this. The best way to get past the bullet and make sure you deal damage is after you jump over that last foot right there, keep running to the side and then jump right after he shoots, so you'll clear his bullet, and then just shoot when you're level with the eye. I mean, I can do it easily without really making any mistakes, so I'm guessing the reaction time required is not that high. To make sure you shoot level with the eye. I mean, the Thunder Beam has such a huge, like, hitbox anyway that, like, you're probably gonna hit it as long as you shoot somewhere around that main head area. Like, above the fist that's facing you. And what is next? Oh, I think it's Copy Robot. Yes, this stage was something. I really wanted to do something else here with these heli. What are they called? Why do I not remember like any of the enemies' names? With those, oh, they are Bunby heli, Boomby heli. I don't know. Bunby, is it Bunby or Boom? I don't know. I have to look at it in Japanese. I wrote them in English, so. But yeah, I couldn't really find anything clever to do with them, so I ended up just doing what I did there. And but here pretty much, yeah, Cutman's rolling cutter will seek you when he throws it, and then he'll always run left and right around the stage, and he'll always jump when you're within a certain distance from him, so you can manipulate him that way. You will be able to know exactly when he's going to jump. And he always throws with the same amount of time between his throws, as long as he's not in the middle of being taking damage. So you can completely predict everything he's going to do. Here I jump up so that the rolling cutter can hit him one more time before it gets back to me, and defeat Elec Man in 3 hits. And I'm not sure if it's random or if he responds to like subtle differences in Mega Man's position or something, but he doesn't always move exactly like that, so you do have to react a little bit differently, but you can always hit him with 2 rolling cutters there. no matter which pattern or direction he takes. Doing this without using the Thunder Beam is really, really annoying and really boring. It's another one of those just wait for a long time until things happen to line up the right way and then go things. Which, if you watch my Mega Man 4 video, you will know that I don't like that, because that's pretty much all I did was complain about that the entire time in the commentary. I watched it again myself recently, and it's all I did was complain about that the whole time. Yeah, this, I remembered watching Rome Mithral's run of this a long time ago, and all I could remember him saying was that the copy robot like shoots at certain positions or something, but I didn't really remember the specifics or like what else there was to his pattern. So I had a lot of fun figuring this one out again on my own, and you know, I was getting pretty frustrated, but I managed to figure it all out without having to go watch the video again or have somebody else tell me the pattern. But pretty much, yeah, you can see there's 3 positions on the screen that he will shoot at, and he will just run back and forth, left or right, like that. And what he actually does is he will actually seek the next one in order. So he'll do that like left, middle, right, middle, left, middle, right, middle, like of those 3 positions. And so if the last one he did was the middle, and the next one for him to do is the left, you can actually keep shooting him and knocking him back to the right, especially if you can get him to jump backwards a lot, and he will not shoot again until he gets left. Like, he'll always hit them in that order, and he'll always walk towards the one he's trying to go to. I forgot I did that. I was gonna like try to pretend that I did that on purpose, but I actually just somehow forgot he was going to jump and then shot and made him jump. So every time you shoot, he will jump, as long as he's not in the process of firing himself. And, but yeah, he'll just keep walking towards the next shoot point that he needs to go to. And so he's actually very predictable. And it's just a matter of patience. And you can do it a much faster way. It's a bit more dangerous. And I did try to do it a faster way some other times, but I eventually gave up because I was getting really sick of replaying the stage. And I didn't do separate segments for that or anything. I think the only thing I did separate segments for were Iceman. Oh no, I did end up doing Copy Robot in separate segment, but it was because I got tired of running through the stage just to try to learn his pattern again every time. This was a mistake. I kept shooting here and I forgot that these killer bombs were going to come out. I almost ran right into that blast. But thankfully I avoided it, so then I can jump over the rest of them. I actually had to redo this like 2 or 3 times because I hit this bomb right there at the end, even though I knew it was going to be there. I just would do something stupid and smack into it anyway. CP... Oh, what's it called? I didn't write it down. It's like CPWO2U or something. I don't know what it's called. It's called something weird, but yeah, this is pretty fun. I don't mind this. Doing this without using the super arm is really, really hard. You basically have to shoot them 10 times each, and you don't know where they're going to come out from, but they always do the same pattern once they do come out, so they get really fast each time you kill one. So I usually kill a few of them and then start throwing the blocks. And there's a set number of them. Was it like 6 or something? I don't know. I've already forgotten. I think there's 6 or 7 of them. Yeah, there's 7, right? Because I kill 4 with the Buster and then throw the blocks the last 3. I don't know. Stupid watchers again. At least I can take 2 out at a time with the Thunder Beam, but I don't know. They're not a very good enemy design. I don't like them. This part, I had to go through this stage quite a few times, so I memorized the location of all those little things. Up here, I was actually getting the Yashichi at first, but just with all of the replays of the stage I had to do, I eventually just stopped going for it because I don't need it. I just like getting it because I think Yashichis are cool. And yeah, that's it. That's my whole explanation. So this is a pretty easy fight. I did mess it up a couple times just because I'm very clumsy. And then this here, I used to think like you couldn't do this with the eye slasher, that like the little pattern didn't work. But the problem that I had is that you can only have one eye slasher on the screen at a time, which is different than the buster because the buster shot disappears and you can have 3 on the screen at once, but you don't want to have more than one anyway. But the buster shot will, disappear when it hits him, where the eye slasher keeps moving through him, so you have to wait until it goes off the screen. So I actually spend that entire fight just staring at the right side of the screen so that I can shoot as soon as that eye slasher goes off the screen so I can shoot another one. And I was so mad that bomb didn't hit him here. This was the part that took the longest for me because I keep missing the stupid jumps, and then he'd pin me in the corner or something. He really seemed to like jumping towards me during a lot of runs. And eventually I got so sick of getting stuck on Bomb Man, and then I would get here and then get like nervous and make a stupid mistake because this is pretty easy. And then I'd have to go back and go through like 50 failed Bomb Mans again. So I ended up doing this in a second segment too. So this Iceman and Copy Robot I did in 2 segments each. So all other stages were 1 segment each. Though Copy Robot would not really have been necessary. I just did it because of the way I record them. I have to like, I use the save game feature in the Legacy Collection, and I'm not going to really go into it, but I would have had to replay the entire game over again if I had saved just before the fight in order to practice it. So I didn't want to do that. So I just used my save before the fight to record the fight too. And that end part is really easy. As long as you're walking to the right when that bullet comes out, you'll always go under it. And so it's just a matter of making sure you're far enough left when you start walking right so that you don't smash into the thing, into the bottom of the machine, or have to stop to not smash into the thing and then end up getting hit with the shot. And that's Mega Man. It's done. Rockman. I played Rockman. Other than the title screen, I think, and this says Rockman instead of Mega Man, I think the games are identical. Yeah, I didn't talk about any trivia or anything here. Bomb Man's name is actually Bomberman, even though they write it as Bomb Man. It's like pronounced as Bomberman in Japanese, which I think is weird. And of course it's just Bomb Man in English. For everlasting peace. But yeah, opinions on this game. I used to really dislike this game. The controls are very clunky compared to the rest of the series. Mega Man 6 has strangely clunky controls too. But it was not good the first time I played this. I really hated it. It was so frustrating. Once you get used to the clunky controls, it's pretty fun, and it took me a while to really get attached to the arsenal, but it's a pretty good arsenal. Now, I like all the weapons, and Hyper Bomb is fun, even though it's essentially useless, and Eye Slasher, Rolling Cutter. I didn't really use Rolling Cutter here because I got it at the end, and there's not really a lot of place to utilize it in the Wily stages, but there are a lot of places you can utilize it. It takes out the Gabials in one hit and stuff like that. It's already done, so this is the end of the video. I'm sorry this was terrible commentary. Thanks for watching, I guess. Goodbye.